the funny thing. So David, Spencer worked for me, if you didn't know, for like 60 days.
On the dot.
Was it 60 days on the dot?
It was like 7 months.
Oh, it didn't feel that long. It didn't feel that long. Actually, it did feel that long, especially with you and Logan in the same room. It felt really long. But
got a lot of good hut content.
So we used to oh my gosh. We used to talk about what makes a good name. And there was 2 rules of what not to do to name your company. Do you know what the 2 rules are before Spencer answers them?
What were the 2 rules?
No, Spencer can't say.
If it's gonna be something about our names,
It probably is.
The 2 rules of a brand is you don't name it after yourself and you don't name it an adjective. And you guys doubled down and named it after both your names.
We're really trying to break that stereotype. I mean,
So
it's homey, you know.
Is it?
The local guys, Spence and Dave.
Love
So
it.
we
Not
have-
college hunks?
Yeah.
no. We are we?
Yeah, we're just talking. It's recording.
Well, the reason that we did that, we were gonna go for a different name that we could reproduce, but Spence and Dave's was important because we didn't have. I mean, we're college kids. We just graduated college. Like, we have no real network of people that we can like talk to and be like, hey, you want to be our client? Because all of our network was college kids, and they don't. You know, they're renting apartments and they don't have money for junk removal. So we're like, okay, well, we need to get our names out there. And that was what the guy that we were working with for our logo, he advised us to do that. He's like, you really should do this. And then he was sending us like brands like Lenny and Larry Cookie and stuff like that. And we have kind of similar branding to them where it's a little bit more light and fun. It's not as corporate. So that was what we were doing.
I definitely like the light and fun part.
Yeah.
I'm not a corporate. I do not like corporate anything. I think you should look 10 million and feel like 1 million. We have a phrase. I have to say a phrase all the time, be big, feel small. So, like, corporate sucks. Nobody wants corporate. Speaking of that, did you see, you guys an Elon Musk fan?
I think he's pretty cool.
Love him.
Yeah, I'm like, I respect some things he says, but sometimes I'm like, this dude kind of evil.
No, I want a Tesla. Let me
You
just say
you need to go read his Twitter feed for about 30 minutes and you'll love him.
Really?
But he's about to announce a new CEO today.
Really?
He said last night he found one that's a female, everyone thinks. So that's big news. I have a lot of Tesla stock. I've been doing this game where I buy a Tesla share every week. And so hopefully it boosts the stock today. That would be awesome. But all right. So you've been out of college. For people who don't know who you are, you're Spence and Dave. Good dude. Spencer Kemp. Dave, what's your last name?
Clayton.
Clayton, that's right. David Clayton. You guys are both from the beach.
Pawleys Island.
Which, okay, I just found this out. Because I grew up going to Myrtle Beach a lot. I don't know if you know that. I had a beach house.
You said that.
I had a
about,
beach.
like,
I had
Ocean Lakes
a
or
beach
something.
house at Ocean Lakes. Okay, in Myrtle Beach. Is Pawleys? Can you only really get there by going to Myrtle and then like driving down the coast? Like, there's not a good way to get there.
Yeah, that's.
Someone just told me that. I ran into someone at a coffee shop and they're like saying how it stinks to live at Pawleys. Only it's Waccamaw, right? Like high school. Yeah. This person went to Waccamaw. I cannot remember who it was. Don't ask me.
Say.
It was a girl or a guy. I can't remember. But I remember them saying, for some reason, it came up like, I just hate driving back home because there's no good way to get there.
Yeah, it sucks being 3 hours from the beach from Columbia. Like, I don't know.
No, but you have to go like Conway to
do.
Myrtle Beach and
You
then
do.
back south, right?
So you can either cut in through like Georgetown, basically, the
Which is
next one.
awful. Like back roads the entire time.
Smells terrible in Georgetown.
Yeah.
That-
No hate, but
Dude.
It does smell
International
pretty
paper
bad,
has a lot of
but-
jobs there, but you know,
It
it's-
smells horrible.
It is not a great smell. But Pawleys Island it was originally like kind of a very secluded,
Like retirement area.
not even retirement. Like it was very secluded. Not a lot of people knew about it. It was like very wealthy people lived there. And then, you know, even when my parents moved there like almost 30 years ago, it was my dad would say like he would drive to work and see like at nighttime and see like 2 people on the road, and he's like, oh my gosh, it's busy. Now there's traffic, and so the whole nature of the island and its tourism has kind of changed, where it's less about like people having second homes there and more about like
Living there.
rentals and living there, and like a lot of people live on the mainland, and the island is actually like a lot of people.
So does it take a bridge to get to Pawleys?
So
Causeways.
yeah, there's like a land bridge, I guess.
Yeah,
so
land bridge.
It's really
Okay.
But I mean, technically, Pawleys Island. There's the land, like the mainland, and then also the island itself, and it's still all considered under Pawleys.
Did you know that the PGA Tour is having a new golf tournament there next year
No
in Myrtle
way.
Beach? Yep, they
Myrtle
just
Beach or
announced it.
Pawleys?
Myrtle Beach, but they just announced to have it on the main tour.
Oh,
So
that's cool.
they announced it 2 days ago.
Really?
Yeah. Anyways, you guys are from Pawleys.
Yeah.
You went to Carolina. Go Cox.
Yeah.
So, why I wanted to have you guys on the show is I've had a lot of people who have like long-term businesses, and you guys are brand new with zero experience when you started. I mean, zero.
Yes.
And so I want to hear how the first conversation came up. If you can remember back when you were like, "Hey," if you were intoxicated, hopefully you weren't. I don't think you guys are. You maybe have, but you're both.
David was, but
David
no.
was
No,
even better. But
it's kind of an embarrassing story.
Yeah, it actually.
I did.
I'll go for it. Yeah. So like Alex said, I quit. I quit pure marketing because I had this whole idea. I'm like, I'm gonna flip pallets.
You had the entrepreneur bug.
Yeah,
I've seen it.
it
I
was-
knew it the first time I met you.
It was like itching, and I'm like, dude, I read all about this thing. I'm like, we can flip pallets. It's gonna be great.
And I remember telling you that doesn't sound like it's gonna work.
And it didn't. So Alex is right. Yeah. So I think David had. You looked at all the business cards. Like it was like 200 businesses or something crazy like that. And we
In the pallet business.
I have-
And we got one maybe and 199 no's, and then the maybe was really just a no. That was trying to be nice,
Yeah.
which actually wasted our time. But and so we're like, oh my gosh, dude, this is terrible. Like we're a month in now or however long, and we don't have a single client. Like this is terrible. And we're kind of reflecting because we're like, this might be the point where we need to consider a pivot. And we're
I
like,
love the
what,
word pivot.
What do people need? And a lot of these businesses that we went to had like excess pallets that they, like we take them for free, or we can have the broken ones, or maybe they had steel drums or something like that. And so we're like, oh, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna try asking to remove their junk, and then we'll see if that's a viable business. And so that's kind of what we did. That was where we went. And we did start like with more of a commercial focus, but we were talking to another guy in the industry, and he basically said like, it's gonna be real hard to get
Roll-offs.
commercial clients.
Dumpster roll-offs for
Yeah.
commercial is the move,
Well,
right?
so we have a couple recurring commercial clients that used the roll-offs, but they're really expensive, and so we're a little bit cheaper than that for them.
Okay.
But we have to just come more often. But
frequently.
It is we like to present ourselves as being an asset for them. Basically, like we're an asset. We're trying to partner with you. We want to make sure that your logistics and your shipping are more efficient because we're helping you actively take this out.
Right.
Because pallets don't fit very well into a dumpster.
No, they
Their
don't.
employees don't care. They're not paying for it, so they're just tossing it.
And they become like Jenga pieces.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
you don't really get to utilize the space. That makes sense.
But we talked to this guy, and he was saying like, yeah, you might get a couple commercial clients, but you really need to crush it in residential. That's what he said. He's like, you have to crush it in residential. Once you do that, then the commercial clients will start to come. And I think that's kind of where we're starting to get. Like we're starting to get our feet more like we're getting a lot more traction in residential, where we're getting people coming to us instead of us having to actually meet them. And I think with that legitimacy, more commercial clients are starting to be open to the prospect of working with us.
You do well, I'm assuming, but I would hope you do want to get into the roll-off game at some point, right?
Yes.
Because that business model is, as a guy who's owned a landscape company, and I've probably spent, let me think for 1 second, oh my gosh, 50, 60 grand in dumpster fees over the last 5 years, probably 10 grand a year at least. It's amazing.
Yeah.
We used to have our guys, people who don't know, if you have a business that always has to go to the dump, whether it's debris for landscaping, whether it's bricks for brick masons, crack bricks, whatever it is. Right now we're doing an office, so like they have a ton of lumber that needs to be thrown out. Might be a job. Scraps and stuff, right? You spend $400 and you don't have to go to the dump, and you don't have to pay 2 guys to go for 2 hours, pay for the gas to go. It ends up being like basically $100 difference, and I'll pay $100 for convenience all day. Not just convenience, but quickness. And so that, dude, there's so many dumpster companies are blowing up here right now. Like Dumpster Plus is one that we've used, and the list goes. Dumpster Mule. There's so
Big
many.
Red Box, we see them everywhere.
Big Red Box. Dumpster Mule is a company that I know the owner, John. Dando, and he's been on the show actually. And theirs aren't roll-offs. They drop them off, but then they just come pick it up with a truck. So like it's not nearly as costly to start. I want to say he said that the roll-offs were 12 to 14, or the trailers were 12 to 14 grand.
Yeah.
And then he had a truck, and so you just every month you just buy another one, and just drop it off in 3 days, pick it back up, and anyways.
And that would be more like the point that we would go into. Is
Yeah.
Like the little bit smaller
Yeah.
dumpsters. That
I'll send you. You remember
Yeah,
dumpster
John
mill?
Dando, yeah.
Okay, you do. You were there. Okay, yeah, dude, his model's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I think they got like
He's a
50.
Christian, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
loves God for sure.
That's cool.
They got like 15 now, 15, 16
You
units.
serious?
Yeah,
We see him everywhere.
Yeah.
It's
Dude.
the bright orange trailer.
Whenever we
their
were-
branding's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
No, I saw it. We used to go like door to door, like for all these different commercial clients. I'd go door to door talking to these people, be like, hey, trying to convince them about our business and trying to get them to kind of like realize that they need it themselves, not like kind of like put it in their brain. You know?
So what's the sales point? Is the sales point? So you were talking logistics earlier. So again, this is fun because you're brand new at this, so you had to start all this stuff off the top of your head. Is the sales pitch, and maybe we can refine it today. Maybe that's even what it is. Is it because that's your key competitor is dumpster roll off companies, right?
With commercial, it is.
With commercial, in the residential, it's the college hunks and all these companies, right?
100 got junk, yeah.
100 got junk, which are I would have to think is expensive.
1-800 got junk is the most expensive,
Mostly.
from what I understand.
So what's your pitch? What's your I always call it differentiating factor. You got to have them. One, what is that?
Yeah, so it's different for commercial and residential.
Okay, what's the commercial one, Dave?
So for the commercial one, we're talking more trying to like the selling points are for our company. We want to like provide a solution towards their efficiency. So like for them, they already have a whole bunch of stuff they're doing at these supply manufacturing
Sure.
companies, and so we want to provide the solution of we can do the junk removal for you while you're able to create money for yourself.
So will they let you go indoors and remove stuff?
They do.
Okay,
I
that's
go-
so you need to clarify that because until you just said that, when I didn't think, I'm thinking the junk outside by the dumpster,
Yeah.
and what you're saying is no, we'll actually go inside the facility and clean up areas and make it more efficient.
Yeah.
Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, and so I even like the whole thing of it too.
I could buy that.
Whenever we were looking up like how are we supposed to sell this, we need to reach the right people. So like not just going to the person that's working out there, like trying to find the warehouse manager or trying to find the like president of the company. Like who can we talk to that is actually going to
Decision
be able to
maker.
make
I always call it. I call it
Yeah.
the decision maker.
So that's kind of like the big find that person and then kind of sell them on that.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe I interjected, but if that's not your pitch, if it's just junk removal versus like efficiency and organization indoors that we call junk removal, ooh, that's the selling point.
Oh yeah.
If you're at a warehouse with 300 employees, the last thing you want to do is take one of them off the line
Right.
to clean stuff up. And if you could say, hey, we'll come in and you just designate these areas, anyone can throw anything in these areas and we'll haul it out. We'll literally physically haul it out without having to walk it outside 300 yards to the dump area.
And the biggest thing with it too was like whenever we first started it, it was so many no's. I'm telling you, like nobody really wanted to talk for a long time, and so we would.
Do you think it's because they didn't understand or because they already had a solution?
I don't think it's they already had a solution with they would send someone else out, but also I think if you're busy, the last thing you want to be able to do is talk to someone right then and there. So it was more of like being consistent, showing up like every week. We would come and go to these certain places, and they almost value that consistency.
They
were
absolutely,
like, wow,
yeah.
like, this guy's coming every week. He cares.
Do you have one big one now because of that?
We have.
Don't name it.
Yeah.
You have a big one?
Yeah, we have two.
Let's
commercial
call
clients
it Bob's. Bob's just call it Bob's.
Yeah.
So at Bob's, how many times? Because this is great. How many times did you have to keep going before you got a meeting, a real meeting?
It was months.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
How
It
many
was
times do you think you went in within 3 months?
in 3
At
months?
least 5.
Yeah.
5 times.
At least 5,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then they finally said what? Tell me the day that they gave you a green light-ish.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
They gave us a call, and it wasn't like we had gone so many times, and it was both of us that had gone too. It wasn't just like me for it, and they were like saying how, yeah, we'll give you a call later maybe, and we just kept trying to be consistent. And I remember Spencer getting a call and be like, David, you will not believe who called us. This guy Bob was like, this guy Bob is ready. He's ready. And I remember showing up there, being so happy, putting all these pallets on that trailer because we had finally gotten that client that we had worked so hard for, and that God just provided right in front of us.
The joy in your face right now is awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome.
No, seriously.
That was a big win because it definitely felt like defeat a little bit, but there was just enough interest there to keep us coming back, right? So we went, and I think they should have bounced on like 2 different meetings, and like we're like had the meeting, we're like prepared to be here, and then they just didn't show up, and they didn't say anything, and we're like, so that, I mean, at that point it's like, dang, this kind of stinks.
How consistent of business are they now?
Every month.
Every month?
At least once a month. Yeah.
Is it set, or is it just on, they call you?
So we initially were set, but their frequency, I guess this is their busy season, so now he said it's easier for them to call us.
Okay.
So that's what he asked for.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, so, I mean.
So I don't want to skip over this for people watching. Okay. When I started my first business, Trifecta Landscaping, one of the coolest things I did was there was one company that I really wanted to work with, commercial company, and I could not get the dude to answer an email. Could not. So I dressed up like I had a meeting. I took a book bag, and I had my laptop and a notepad in this arm, and I thought to myself, you know what, I'm just going to act like I have a meeting with the guy and see if the admin will just, like, call him up. And so I knew the decision maker. So this is for people watching. You got to know who the decision maker is, and you got to find a unique and creative way to get in front of them. Whether I've even thought about this for all the like football coaches at Carolina. If you want to do all their like the mowing of their houses, why not just get up at 5 a.m. and have a sign where they pull in the parking lot and say like I'll mow your grass for free for a whole day.
Yeah.
You would have to think that if you got 3 of the coaches from that, which their houses are multi-million-dollar houses, that day is the best day of your life, best well-spent day of your life, right? So, anyways, long story short, I ended up going into this place. I said, hey, ma'am, I'm here to see Bob. And she goes, do you have a meeting? I said, yes. She called him right up. He had known me from the emails I kept sending him. So I was like, hey, it's Alex. I've been sending you emails. I just wanted to connect. I was in the area. You say something that doesn't make you seem like a stalker. You know what I'm saying? Like, was in the area.
I drove 30 minutes to get here.
Yeah. I've been waiting outside for weeks. I said I've been just in the area. I wanted to pop by and just put a name to a face, and hopefully my company can serve you. That was 2018, I think. We've done $50K a year with them since.
Wow.
Okay, and so, yeah, it's pretty cool, right? So, like, to the listeners, like, you just got to do something weird, man. Like, everybody's emailing and calling, everybody, but showing up with a chicken biscuit or showing up with one of my good friends. I don't want to skip over this. One of my good friends, one of our clients at Pure Marketing, told me the other day that they're in the roofing business, okay, and they've grown their company. I can't tell you the revenue, but it'll blow you away in 5 years. Like, think the number you're thinking, times it by 2, okay? And so, Logan, you know the story I'm about to say about the donuts? And so, they told me that a hailstorm's like their best friend, right? And so, when a hailstorm comes in, everyone almost needs a new roof. They told me the other day that they stood at the front of this neighborhood. They knew this neighborhood got hit the most from, like, the meteorologists and whatever. So that next morning at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m., they got donuts, and all day they handed donuts to people as they were leaving the neighborhood and a business card.
That's so smart.
All day. Really and they said, we're so sorry. We know it's an early morning. Here's start to your breakfast, and give us a call if we can do your roof. They did like 30-something roofs in the neighborhood.
Holy cow.
Slayed it.
For, $20 a donuts, bro.
20 in time, right?
Yeah.
And time's a commodity for sure, but when you're starting a business, everybody has excuses on why I can't get customers. Everybody. It's so ridiculous to hear online. Or everybody copies everybody else. I love that you just stayed persistent. And then the other thing I think to do in the future, because you guys want to get more customers, is think of something unique. Like we have a phrase at Pure, we don't check boxes, we think outside of them. Okay, so like don't just check the box of like I called the guy and he won't answer, or like I pursued him, like think something abstract, because you know why? People get in such a rhythm in life that the thing that's outside of their rhythm, they'll always remember. Right, like if you do something weird, they're like, dang, those dudes wanted it, So anyways, I love that, David. So Bob's been good to you.
Oh, so good. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And it's like he was saying, it started out as like once a month, and it still is pretty consistent, like once a month. But it's becoming more.
You're up to 2 commercial clients, you said.
Yeah, 2 commercial
and
clients.
How many residential jobs a month do you feel like you're averaging? You're using Jobber, right?
Yeah.
I heard that you were using Jobber.
We use Jobber.
Which we almost were like, is it time to, like, do we, it seemed like QuickBooks could do, like, enough of what Jobber could do that we didn't really need it yet.
Can't schedule.
But, well, you can't.
No.
But, it's just us 2 right now.
Yeah.
So it's like we could, just use
Right.
Google Calendar or something like that and just send. But we had one, it was like the day I was going to cancel it. We had one customer.
I can't wait to do this.
We did a big job for him, and he was like, by the way, your
CRM.
Your service here with that sent me the appointment and the invoice and everything. He's like, it looks really clean. Like, it's super professional. He's like, I'm kind of tired of like messaging like contractors, because he was having some other work done in his house. He's like, I'm kind of tired of just texting everybody.
That's awesome.
He's like, I got this guy coming in with a cigarette in his mouth, and he's sending me text messages and stuff like that. And he's like, you guys have like this official
awesome
form and stuff. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
Very professional.
It makes a huge difference. Like, I don't know how many people listening are in like services and trades. It's usually that group of us that struggle with the professionalism side. Just having a software where you get alerts and texts, and like in lawn care when I started back in 2017, it was really popular to like say, hey, just leave the check under the mat. Like they'd ask like how to pay you. That was like the phrase. Or like put it in the mailbox or something, like tape it to the back of the mailbox was like a thing. And that, I don't know anybody that does that anymore. I'm sure there's people, but things change as the motion moves. But okay, so how many customers residentially, how many jobs are you doing on average a month right now?
Like probably like 20-ish.
20, solid.
Yeah.
So do you take everything to the the dump, the county dump?
Not everything. So we do take a lot of stuff there, but we need to, like, we try and recycle stuff. Specifically, metal is the easiest to recycle, but we'll do like recycled cardboard and stuff.
Which doesn't cost you money, right?
No, it's
And with metal, you actually
Make
get
money.
from
You
it.
get some.
So that's the good.
Pays for
thing.
gas,
Yeah, that's
that
cool.
happens all the time where it's like, dang, we just paid for gas. That feels great. So we'll recycle metal, and then there's like other recycling centers in Lexington County and stuff like that we'll use. But
That's awesome. I didn't even think about that. So one thing, I didn't pre-qualify your questions,
and
right?
donate. By the way.
I did this on purpose. I don't like to know sometimes because I don't want to like ask questions that I feel like I'm leading the answer. I would never have thought, and hopefully I never would have thought you would actually make money by hauling junk. Have you ever found anything like?
Nice.
Yes.
Yes.
Have
I'm
you?
telling you, we have this also.
Yeah, actually yesterday. To be honest.
What'd you get yesterday?
We got this buffet.
Big
like
vintage wood buffet.
supposedly it's
called
worth
a
like
buffet.
$500.
Have you been? Do you sell stuff on Marketplace?
Yeah, we do. So that's kind of like the 3 different things we do. We do recycle,
Revenue streams.
landfill, or like where we drop it
Oh,
off.
drop offs.
Recycle, landfill, or we sell it on Facebook
Or
Marketplace.
Okay.
Or I guess donations.
Or
too.
donations.
We try and donate as much as we can. Like, we really like to donate to people that we actually like know.
Yeah.
Where we know a lot of people just because of church and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that are in need. So it's nice to specifically fill a need that instead of just dropping it.
You know
off
what
to
you
people.
should do? You should start a Facebook group. Because we were just listening to a podcast the other day. We're big fans. I'm big fans of Think Media, which is a Christian guy that has one of the bigger marketing media podcasts. And he was talking to this expert lady. I can't remember her name. And she said, have you noticed, like, on social media, your likes are going down over the last few months?
We were talking about that yesterday. It seems like views are up.
Views are up. Likes and followers are down because views can be kind of algorithmic shifted, like manipulated, excuse me. And so, anyways, this lady was talking about how it's better to build a community than a following. That was like her phrase. And yeah, and she was so. Anyways, we started a community group. What, like 6 months ago? Has it been about 6 months? 8 months. We're up to like 500 people in the group, and guess what? Those people are super loyal. So would you rather have 500 people who are like really in depth with what you're doing, or would you rather have 5,000 who don't really know who you are? And so, anyways, if you built a Facebook community page and said, hey, anybody who wants to join this, anytime we have anything to either donate or sell from our pickings, you could make a pretty sweet community. And guess how much business you're going to get out of that group?
Probably a lot.
A ton.
We do get
100%.
business from selling stuff, which is part of the reason it's nice to sell. Other than
Sweet.
maybe you get money, but sometimes you get jobs from
Sure.
it.
What's been so? If you can answer this, give a range if you don't want to give a specific number. What's been like? So you've been in business a year now?
No, like 7 months.
7 months. Okay.
With this business, yeah.
Say your worst month of revenue and your best.
0.
You did 0.
Or it was
No, that was not when you did spend. That was the pallet thing, right?
Yeah. So,
So
guess,
screw whatever that was called. Pallet Palace.
It's like Faithful Pallets.
Yeah. Is that what it was called?
Yeah, I think so. It was pretty bad. Not so faithful, you know?
Not so faithful with $0. What's been your worst?
I
and
think our
best?
worst month was kind of like a split month, I guess, because it wasn't like the first we're doing this new thing.
Yeah.
You know? So I think it was like $600.
Wow.
Like very little.
Okay. What's been the best?
The best? Maybe like $6,000.
$6,000 is solid. I was hoping you'd say like 5+.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So it's
That
interesting.
10K number's the number.
Right, and that's what we're shooting for. So like
Yes.
we see the pathway to get there. And so kind of like just for context for
Sure.
you and the viewers, like we're a lot of our conversation has been revolving around like trying to make our marketing more passive. Where it's like, okay, we can actively pass out flyers, and we do that.
Yeah.
And we can make social media posts, and David does a lot on Nextdoor, which is very helpful.
Next door is awesome. I was going to get to that. Let's
but-
talk about that next.
But door, and anyway, so there's yeah, it wasn't that funny, but
I got it way too
I did too. Next door.
but so the big thing that we've been working on is like
They should sponsor this episode. by the
Yeah,
way.
we have this web, and we can talk to whoever's the brand manager over there or whatever. But we have a website now. We're actually getting our website rebuilt and retooled a little bit, and so that's good. But we have Google Ads running to it.
Sick.
Which, thanks, pure marketing.
Yeah, they're super good.
And that's been great because we're getting like lead form submissions and people reaching out. That
Let's go.
we'd never
Qualified customers.
met. Right.
Yeah.
And so that is nice because the way that it worked before was, oh my gosh, we're so busy for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, and then
It's dead. And then you're like, what happened?
Yep.
And then you have to rebuild it again. So then it's like,
was awful.
it's just so we're trying to fight out of like this high and low and just generate steady customers. And we're starting to see a lot more of that. Like it's nice to wake up in the morning like, oh my gosh, we have a lead. And when we get an email or a call, I would say we convert probably like 70 or 80% of those.
Google sends qualified leads, period. They just do. And you know why, right? And I talked to the listeners about this. Google's, in my opinion, is the best lead source because if you are taking the time as a customer to Google junk removal in my area, that means you are a serious buyer. You're not going to sit there and Google it. When you pass out a flyer, somebody's got to go, maybe I do have something I need to get rid of, right?
Yeah.
And so you're surprising them by asking them a question they hadn't thought about. On Google, they have thought about it. They took the time to go to Google and look it up and fill a form out.
Yeah.
So like 80% of the hard work is done. You don't have to convince somebody they need your services. They already know they do. You have to convince them just the final thing, which is what? That you're the one they should pick.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that's why Google's the best. I mean, I spent Trifecta's height before I just sold half the company a couple months ago, or sold half of it, and I kept Trifecta, but $1,500 a month on Google Ads. I'll spend it all day.
Yeah.
Loved it because it's investing, not spending. Like I felt like I was getting stock in something that was going to grow.
And
Anyways,
that's kind of been our strategy. Like we talked about what we wanted to spend, and we're like, you talked about time being a commodity. Like we're like, this is basically like knocking doors without us actually knocking doors.
Exactly.
And so it makes sense for us to spend a little bit more. So like I remember when I was doing managing accounts with Pure, like there were some people that had like they started with a lower budget because they wanted to see the results. And I'm like, you know, we want to spend a little bit more aggressively here. So I think we're spending like $400 or $500.
Sick, dude.
On top of like other marketing.
You're getting like an averaging a lead or two a day since you started that.
Within like, so our Google ad campaign is like a month and a half old, so it's now starting to like learn pretty well. So now I'd say we're getting like 5 a week.
That's great.
Which is great.
That's great.
Yeah.
20. You'll pay. Just do the math. $20-$30 a lead. You know, you'll take that on a what's your average ticket? $300 a job?
400.
$300-$400 a job. It's not bad.
So
You can do 2 a day. Can you do 2 a day?
We can do like 3, 4.
We can do 4 a day. Yeah.
Dang. So if you were slammed, you could really make some cash, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
but the thing with it too is that whenever we have these jobs, pictures can really manipulate the way that you think about something. Like someone can send you an email over this picture, and it looks like a small thing, and you get there, you're like, this is a lot more than they had. Like, and you kind of have to just be catching those punches and just throwing them in. Like, and we still, like, if it's more than, we do it load basis, so if it ends up being 2 loads, we're going to charge 2 loads, and we'll let them know that. But, like, people can really change the way it looks based off of a picture.
Sure.
If it's on, like, 0.5 or 1 or 2, like, they can really make it look.
Sometimes they'll add stuff after the fact, and you get there and you're like, this was not in the pictures that you sent us.
Right.
So that makes it difficult.
Yeah.
That didn't make sense. So, okay, a couple like hardcore questions as we wrap up. So, 7 months into owning your first business, one, is this a business that you feel like you're cutting your teeth on to learn for something in the future? It always is, but intentionally, or is this something that you could see you wanting to do for years to come and scale, grow, like all that stuff? And just be honest about it.
Yeah, with it, I love this business so much. You know, I don't like the junk removal part of it, but I like the idea of what it can do. Like, I like how we can give back to the community. I like how we can have mentorship opportunities with people coming in.
Yeah.
But the actual junk removal, you know, it's not going to be fun every single day.
Yeah.
And we are more wanting this as I don't like saying stepping stool, because
it's a learning ground. I mean, that's what it is.
I really love it, and I don't want to like kind of downplay it, but it's kind of in that way a stepping stool into like other business opportunities as well.
Sure. I don't think that's a bad thing, David, by the way. Like, that's why I asked the question for people to listen. I think that I would never have become the owner and business owner I am today, which I'm still early, year 7, if I didn't start my landscape company. And how much I learned through that gave me the confidence, tools, skills, resources, and relationships. I didn't even know I was going to rattle those 5 off, but that's exactly what it is. To want to be a better dad, to be a better husband, to be a future visionary thinker. I don't think you're like you're squeezing this melon to get the garden is what I'm trying to get at. Don't feel that way. Now, it is good to know, because at some point, David, your passion's going to like that meter of passion, depending on how much I'm a passion guy, so like it's really important for me. Then you might have to pivot, or hire, maybe sell a piece of it to somebody who's really passionate about it. Maybe you bring on a manager one day when you're at $1 million and you're like, you know what, this guy, there's a point where it's a breaking point, but you're not even close to that. So just so you know, like people should never feel trapped, is what I'm getting at. You're not there yet. I'm just saying, like, when that day comes, there's always a way. There's always a solution, because if it's a good business, it's a good business.
Yeah.
So there's no reason to
implode.
And
I think what you were saying, like hiring a manager in the future, like that's kind of our plan with it. Is more of like, we start hiring people that we know can also provide those mentorship opportunities with other people coming in, the workers, and we have to really trust that manager to really kind of dig into those lives of the people that are working there. So.
I love the idea of you guys getting dump trailer or something, though.
Yeah.
I mean, your business could grow so fast.
Yeah.
So we actually we have a trailer that we're like trying to not rebuild, but like we've just making it look nice.
Mm-hmm.
That.
Oh, that's a cool story. You gotta tell them that.
I want to hear this.
Well, I guess it's a little bit of a different.
Because let me ask this question and then see if it plugs into it. Because we only have time for about 2 more.
Okay.
I was going to ask you this: how resourceful? Hopefully, this is it. Have you had to be with having almost zero cash when you started this business?
Insanely resourceful.
Because a lot of people. Okay, a lot of people think you have to have a lot of money to start a business. You've got to go buy a truck, trailer, all the nicest stuff, whatever, right? Some people think that.
Yeah.
Then other people think you have to have zero and have crap forever, which isn't true either. You can kind of start with what you have and grow to nice stuff. I mean, you've seen my landscape company. I started that with zip. I mean, I had $1,200 to my name when I started Trifecta.
Wow.
$1,200. And now we had when I just sold whatever, I had 10 vehicles in the fleet, all paid for. Everything was paid for. 20 mowers, right? So like you can just see. So anyways, resourcefulness. I think people. This is like the subject. I think people fail, like how to like think creatively, use things that don't cost a lot of money, and then upgrade. Explain. Let me hear how you've been super resourceful. Because you guys were 22. You didn't have any money.
Yeah, we
Just got out of college.
Yeah.
You know?
Like literally just like the day after, right? Like
So 22. We don't have any debt, which is nice. Like we don't, we've talked about it. Like we don't really want to take out loans. We want to be able to have command over what we have, basically.
That's a good way to
You've
put
talked
it.
about that in the past.
yeah, it's a great way to put it. Have command over what you have. I love that.
Like you've talked a lot about how debt affects clarity.
It does.
And I think that.
And you can't measure it, and that's the problem.
Right.
So, like, let me say that. So, because I never get to talk about this on the podcast, because no one else usually feels the same way as I do. Debt can be money can be measured almost all the time, right? Like interest rate, return on investment. Like that's why I love numbers. It can't lie. It just tells you the truth. The one area it can't is peace of mind, and clarity, and decision making. So, like, this is where people go, oh, you're stupid for not having debt. Debt equals if it's 3% of debt, you can make 6% in the market, right? Or, like, you can make money off your truck. It's like, yeah, but you might go quote a job from now on and be like, we got to have this job because I got to pay for this truck payment. And you might actually end up losing money. So, like, yes, command of your money. That's good.
That was a good way to put it.
Thank you.
No
And thank you to the University of South Carolina for sponsoring.
Go Cox, baby!
But we have, so we start out with the.
Please put that in there.
Yeah,
Logan.
yeah.
That
Oh,
was
he
so
will.
cool.
He will.
We start out with this trailer, like, we don't have like the big like dump trailer and everything like that.
Yeah, you have
so-
like a redneck trailer.
Yeah, exactly. We have a redneck trailer, and so sometimes we have never pulled up to a job that we could not figure out with what we have.
Sure.
And so, like, a funny example of this is with one of our commercial clients. They do like home exteriors. They
Okay.
sell home exterior stuff to contractors. They had something that had like, it was basically probably a 26-foot long.
Your trailer ain't 26 feet long.
And it ain't 26 feet. So we basically like put it diagonal. We put it diagonal and up over the back of the ramp, so it forms like this huge triangle. Have you guys ever seen like Phineas and Ferb? If you have any kids or whatever, like it was like Phineas's head, basically, like a huge triangle. And we strapped the crap out of it down. The amount of downforce that thing generated on the road, it was like having a massive spoiler. So we were going like hazard lights on, like
15
oh my
miles
gosh,
an
I
hour.
hope we make it, and but
Hoping we don't get pulled.
and-
Like,
You definitely would have. You definitely could not have done that DOT wise.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, we were taking all back roads trying to get there, and it worked out. But stuff like that happens all the time, where it's like, oh, dude, they totally didn't tell us this is a bunch of loose stuff, and like, oh, we found some bag. You'll find some bags that they're trying to throw away, and put stuff in there, or like use other items to like block things up, or maybe what would be. Like, there's sometimes when you get there and you're like, we can't lift this. And we have to get real creative of like, maybe we can unscrew something or break it apart or whatever. Because you have to think so fast, like every single day.
Yeah.
If you can't, like we've looked at, obviously we've studied other businesses. One of the other businesses, I'm not going to say who they are, like one of their critiques was that they're slow. And I like it because when like yesterday we finished a job, she's like, you did all that in an hour and a half? And we're like, yeah, because we're moving fast. We want to make sure that we're not holding them up all day because
Right.
people are there sometimes. So.
Yeah, they're weird, right? Like people want to be there because they don't know you,
Right.
and it's like their stuff, so they're still kind of like in hold with it, even though they were getting rid of it. So yeah, that makes sense. So resourcefulness is huge. Okay, kind of last question. One, be as vulnerable as you can. Has it been harder or easier in some ways than you thought? And what's been almost the breaking point moment that propelled you to where you are today?
Well, so,
Has it been what's been the harder than you thought? What's been easier than you thought? And what was a breaking point moment? Because I have many
yeah.
that you most men would have given up, or you almost gave up, but it actually propelled you. Because that's what happens at breaking points. You you actually go faster and you go stronger than you thought.
Can I do the breaking point and you'll do the first two? You got the first two?
Okay, first two.
What's been easier? What's been harder than you thought?
Okay, yeah. Well, I'll start with harder because that's just easier for me. The hardest, I think, the hardest part was whenever we had a whole week of just, to be honest with you, no work. No work. And this was before we had done the Google ads, before we had like really, we had some other solutions that kind of helped us be more consistent with getting clients, but it was a whole week of just no work. And I was like, what the heck? You know, like before this, we were packed. I'm telling you, it was crazy. And I was like, we're making good money, but then now it's like a whole week of no work is like, we were all set to have the highest month in revenue. And now we're set to like just break it. Even.
Yeah, because so people know this is your full-time jobs.
Yeah, this is. And it's just, like we have bills we need to pay. We have things that we need to do. And at some point, we do need consistency.
Yeah.
So at that point, I was just like, how are we going to do this? And Spencer and I, we have a mentor, which is huge for listeners. It's like having a mentor is probably one of the biggest things you can do.
Yes.
Just whenever you're down and like in that low moment, having a mentor you can go to and they just really lift you up with good wisdom that can push you forward. And that's what we both did. We gave him a call, and he told us, he was like, this is something you need to take a week and really think about, is this something you want to continue doing? Is this something that you are passionate about? Is God telling you to really do this? Because like for us, we're both Christians, so that was that's the biggest thing that kind of pushes us to do the work that we do.
Yeah.
And with that, we took that week. We were still working because we need to make money.
Yeah.
But we were thinking, is this something that we can consistently doing, you know, like writing notes, like kind of like pros and cons. And we both came to that conclusion that this is something that God has called us to do. And there's going to be some moments where we feel like, what is happening? But the consistency of still doing that every single week, working hard, knowing that this is not for ourselves, we're going to see something from it.
Love it.
So I think that was probably the lowest. And towards the end of it, it really pushed us into our best moment when it came to being very, working really, really hard every day. Even if we didn't have a job, we would want to like go out and do door to door, or go to Facebook Marketplace and just sell some of the items that we have. Or even like there's groups where he would make a post and I would share it to all these different groups. And that in itself created business for us as well. So it was really that lowest moment that really pushed us to be like, there's ways we can do it. We just have to
it's amazing, David, because I think to the average entrepreneur, I think instead of doubling down, meaning the low led you to work harder, most people just kind of like, I don't want to say fold, but they kind of just live in that low, if that makes sense. They don't give up, but they don't go, okay, this is where I'm at today. How do I get out of that? I think like anyone listening, that is the struggle, is to go, okay, I lost a big client, or man, I'm struggling financially, or this isn't going how I thought it would. And instead of like, okay, let's write out a strategy of how not to do that. They go, oh, I don't understand. And they just sulk. And so most entrepreneurs, I think, struggle. So that's amazing that you had that you guys had that wherewithal to push through. Spencer, kind of wrap us up with the other piece there.
Yeah, so I think I would say just personally, I think that our like marketing and branding and stuff has been the part that I thought was going to be a little bit harder than it was, but it has been easier. And then the part that's been that I thought was going to be easier that was harder is like definitely client acquisition, because in my head I'm pretty prideful and arrogant. I was just like, dude, this is gonna be easy. We're both decently likable guys. They're gonna be like magnets to these clients. And also, I think remaining motivated in those like when you don't have a job is difficult, because it's like it is easy, to slip. I think it's like, dang, dude, what the heck? Or you have a whole day plan and they just back out. Which we can talk about that, a little later. But
we'll talk off air about a couple things I've already written notes in my head about.
The really the lowest point, I think, or the breaking point, as you said, was I have like some back issues, which is interesting. It's genius to haul jump with back issues. Yeah. But we try and mitigate, the physical toll of it all with some just different tools and stuff. But I had been doing really well. It seemed like those issues were behind me, and then out of nowhere, just like tweaked the back. It wasn't on a job. It was like just something like everyday activity. And it's like, dude, again, and it really sucked, because that was combined with what he was talking about having nothing on the schedule, and it was like, dude, is this viable for us to continue? Because we see this point where we can have teams of people out and managers and reselling stuff and having dumpsters and like all this stuff. We see that point, but like, how are we going to get there if my body can't hold up? And so that was when like prayer came in. And we were like, God, we need clarity. Is this right? Is this something you want us to keep doing and go into the Word and trying to see like, okay, where does this hold up? And I've personally felt like a lot of peace after all that. So we didn't talk about it at all for a week and a half, I think, is how long. And then we came back and had this meeting, and it was like, all right, this is how I'm feeling. And David's like, well, I'm feeling the same way. And so that in itself,
confirmation,
to be partners and be on the same page, like lit a fire under us. We had a killer meeting that day, and since I feel like it's been a lot better, because it was like, it almost felt like we were like clawing out of the pit kind of thing, and it definitely has felt like God is kind of pushing us up a little bit.
Well, I think, and I'll wrap us up with this. That's so good. I think that an entrepreneur is made from the fires that they can survive. Like, just like, we talk about gold is, made in the fire, right? It's like the days that are the hardest become the step to the next. Like that day hardens in a way, and you step on that day and rise up. And I mean, I just had one 2 days ago. And it's just like that night I got home. I mean, I got home, got horrible news about something in the business. I went inside, and I was walking inside, and my kids run up to me and like want me to hold them. So I've got one in each arm, and then the other one's on the ground. And I'm like, I don't even know what I'm supposed to do right now, but I'm dad. So I was like, I need 15 minutes to go make emails real quick at home, which I don't like to do. And so then all night I'm just sulking, and you know what? I remembered, this is what's awesome, is once you do it for a while, you get to remember the other times it felt that way. I was like, the sun rises tomorrow, and God's still good when it rises, and it'll be okay. So thankfully, by 10 o'clock that night, for about 4 hours, I was struggling. I remembered all the other times that he was faithful, and that it didn't burn the ships, right? It just was a little bit of a flame, and actually you come out better. It's so strange, But without faith and without perspective, it doesn't feel that way a lot of time. So, man, that's awesome. All right, so we're going to share this on local stuff too. So tell people where they can find you guys for junk removal services on Instagram, Facebook, whatever.
Yeah, it's just look up Spence and Dave's on Instagram, Spence and Dave's Junk Removal on Facebook. You can look, our website is spenceanddaves.com. If you want to call, it's 843.
SpenceandDaves.com was available?
Yeah.
Cannot believe that.
843-503-4026. You can reach out to us there.
Awesome.
We'd love to help you out.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much.
Absolutely.
And you guys make sure you follow them. And thank you for watching the Down to Business podcast, where we talk about business, finance, marketing, and everything in between.